Good evening, good people. Happy Saturday. I'm going to do a quick breakdown on the trades I'm looking at for the week of the 7th of August. NFP is over. The market looks like it's starting to show its true direction. Last week was not the best week or the worst week, in my opinion, for myself. Trade just never panned out the way I anticipated, not at least in the fashion I would like for it to have. But on the dollar, price did trade into this H2 demand fair value gap level that I had marked, hit it to the pib, never broke the low, started trading higher by just fighting through a bunch of supply that I expect to still fail. Half price trades higher. I'm bearish, I'm bullish on the DXY, of course, which means I'm going to be bearish on all the other XXX USD pairs. Um, right now, I would like to see the dollar trade down into the gap that it formed during NFP. You see it more on like the lower time frames. It definitely pushed through that gap, but didn't really take out much structure quite yet. I think it's going to come down into this gap here, show some type of reaccumulation of orders, take price higher. But I'm also keeping in mind that the origination of this move higher came from down here around 105 level. So that's very possible that pricing may trade down into this 105 level, maybe shows a shift and go higher. But nonetheless, I'm looking for buys, looking for buys. First area is the 105, 700 area, 105, 600 area, really. And if it pushes up from there, I'll be looking at the other pairs for possible moves. Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, just buy to play out. Any moves in the market before that, I would just probably ignore because I'm not looking to jump in unless it really shows what I want to see. And that's the DXY for you. Let's go on to Euro USD. Euro USD was the most funniest pair of them all because it finally peaked out the range that I identified last week, but it came right back into it. Um, I'm thinking it's ready. Thinking it's ready for the move that it wants to make, the move that it should make coming up here this week. Begins the buy side was already attacked, so now we're looking for the sell side to be attacked. You look at last week we were looking for entries and never made it to our zones. It almost did, but it just kept playing around. So right now I have two zones I'm looking at. The only reason why I'm even considering this higher zone at the 102, excuse me, around the 102 700 areas because there's still liquidity that's sitting above here. But this is fresh supply. I would like for it to kind of sweep this low here before I can really consider it a sell. But honestly, I don't necessarily need that to be convinced it's made trade from here. So maybe a small risk entry from here, looking to target that 99 level that's down here. That's what I'm looking to target. If all these levels break, all these supplies fail, then of course we're looking at our origination of supply way up here near the break. But I don't think price is going to trade that high. I think we're actually at the point, it's the highest point that the Euro USD would like to go before trading down. I mean, the other scenario is price can just start flushing from here. I mean, that's the market for you. But I would like for it to come up into at least the 1.02 300 area or the extreme 1.0700 area. That's the levels I'm looking at on Euro USD. Next pair I'm focused on is GU. Very similar setup, nothing special. What I like about GU is that GU actually broke this 4 hour demand zone, which is good. It wasn't a candle break, but a wick break is good enough for me. So that means the intention to sell is there. And I'm targeting this last big major swing over here on the H4. That was the last major swing that it took. So I'm looking for it to take that swing out, or at least take price to that swing. We had good entry last week. I should have just went my first dart and took trade right off the premium zone right from it, but I waited for that shift, which I normally don't wait for the shift personally. I kind of just take the trade based off my zones, and I missed it, and I even missed possible re-entry as it came down, built some liquidity here, and started trading lower. But can't catch them all. And I continuously all week looked for some possible entries for y'all in the group, but it just did not provide us that trade. So this week we're hoping for a better setup, better scenarios, and right now the areas I'm looking at are 21, let's call it 21, 22 flat level around here. Price can come up into his wick, maybe eat up the rest of the liquidity within his wick and fall off. I'll take it. But on the lower time frame, like a 30-minute, we have like a nice little fresh supply. And this is a supply that initiated this break from the 4-hour demand. So this is also a really solid area at 400 level. That one is definitely a solid spot to look for possible sell from as well. So I'm keeping both those areas in mind for possible entries. The next pair I'm looking at is NU. NU, very similar scenario, very similar. NU gave us nice looking setups, but never gave us actual entries. We saw this break, this change of carry that happened. We looked for entries here the first time, but price wanted to liquidate these people that were looking to take early sales, and that's what they did. I personally didn't enter the trade. I didn't see it. I just said, you know what, I'm not going to bother to enter. And luckily I didn't because it kind of played around, dropped, and it came in zone, gave us a little reaction, and then pushed right through that zone. So that would have been a lost trade. But right now I see price has formed some liquidity here. So this area up top here, which is two zones I'm looking at, probably near the fair value gap or maybe deep into the zone, which you probably see on the H1s, like better looking supply or maybe lower. Forget what time frame I saw this supply on. You kind of can see it better on the 30-minute little supply zone that came initiated, that started the initiation of that break to change the carry, but the change of carry didn't come until here. But that still was a fake out. So it's just got to flow with the market. But this build up liquidity tells me that price may decide to trade up to that zone around that 63, that one 0.63 300 area. But I'm liking this area here because it's that last push down that helped build liquidity, and we're still kind of floating around this H4 supply demand zone, which we do have to watch out for. Price can easily just drop down into it, react, push up, and maybe come up into the zone. I would like to see it break, but not since I'm pretty convinced that these pairs are flush to the ground and taking out these lows that it got down here. That's what I'm aiming for right now. There's definitely two levels of demand that NZD USD does have to travel through. So I think coming up to this level around that 0.63 level, let's call it 0.62950 area, coming to here and then look for the shift possibly and take the drop. I'll probably look to enter aggressive if it comes higher. Here, I'll probably wait for that shift because since it literally just built some liquidity here and right underneath, right above this fresh demand here. And if I get it to break and then come back up to this level, I'll take it aggressively. But if it comes here first, I'll look to see it start shifting for me to take the price down to that 61,500 area and even down to the 0.6600 area. That's where I'm actually, that's my ultimate target for this one. And that's what I got for AUD USD. We'll go look at AUD USD. AUD, very similar situation, nothing different about it. This one is actually showing like better intent to sell because the last swing low was broken, leaving fresh supply here. And again, I'm keeping those higher levels of supply into consideration because of the build up liquidity here. But I'm more concerned to look at these levels first, see how it plays out. I think you can see it better in a lower time frame, a little fresh supply that took out swings. There's definitely some demand that it can target here. So that's my first target. But again, all of them are looking to take out all their lows. That's what I'm looking at for this week. These lows to be taken. It could be a nice trending week, maybe a sloppy correction to the upside at the beginning of the week, and then as that news comes out, we should start seeing some like impulsive moves to the downside or upside. Just depends what shares want to do. But again, I'm bearish, so I'm looking for sales on all these pairs. So right now I'm looking at the 69,500 level as my first initial area for entries, and again at the 0.7100 area is my next area for entries. If these areas does not hold, the only reason why this area may not hold is because of liquidity, but it's very possible it does. So I'm looking at that as my possible entries. After that, next pair I'm focused on is some of these JPY pairs. UJ, it actually tapped my zone here. I took entry, but I closed it on Friday because it's the end of the week. Like I shouldn't even took the entry because I knew it was Friday. It drove into this fair value gap in its premium level. But I think maybe this is going to induce some people into the market. I think because it's fresh supply. It tapped it right to the money on the right to the pib on my entry because all these lines on my chart, as y'all see, are my actual entry lines that I would actually take trades from. Sometimes I'll wait to see it react from there and look for a shift to enter, but sometimes I would just enter straight off the lines I marked in these charts. So if y'all see those lines are probably most likely entries. So I think price may just react, come down, maybe clean up the imbalance, and then trade up into the extreme of the zone, which I think you'll probably I think that's the extreme of the swing. So if I take the Fibonacci out and take it from the extreme of the swing down to the low of the swing, we're sitting that 78 level is sitting right here cleanly. I like that it's sitting so clean in this level. So I'm actually looking for possible entries around that 137 level. That's one area that I'm watching closely, 137 for a possible entry. So I can see price trade down, maybe cancel inefficiency, then trade up, and then down to take out these lows that it formed. That is my ideal thought process on UJ. And I can see that one playing out fairly well because this just might be that inducement to get people to jump to these sales early and then think they're good and then take them out as price trades up higher. Um, I would like to see the correctional move to the upside, not so much of an impulse. Because if it shows me impulse, that tells me that there might be more buyers in this market than sellers. Because this higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. That's like going against a trend. So a correction up would be an ideal move that I would like to see the market do. That being said, the next pair I'm looking at is GJ. Very similar situation. GJ actually came right to the zone that I was looking at for possible sales, which wasn't the premium fair value gap zone, but it was a possible entry zone. But it pierced through the zone. So this is why I'm like, oh, this zone is not valid to me anymore. I didn't consider it valid. And I kind of stepped away from the JPY pairs because they were not moving like I wanted them to. They kind of did what they wanted to do last week. They purged down a little bit more than I expected. And then they started rallying back up. So right now I can see the GJ traveling up to the 165 level before it takes its plunge. So this might be that inducement for early sellers, excuse me, because it may trade up back into this zone, trickle down, and trade up, maybe tricking buyers and sellers in, and then pushing up, giving some up structure, some corrective structure up, and then thinking that it's ready to buy and then get to the 165 level and then plunge to the ground. That's what I'm looking at as far as possible because liquidity was taken last week that I saw, and that was a very strong reaction. So this reaction was not surprising to me, but it wasn't so impulsive where it took out levels of supply strongly. Like these levels of supply that they're going to hold. The best supply level that I'm looking at is at that 165 again, like I said. So I would just wait and see how this price plays out. I'm not going to touch it until it gets to my zone. And if I start seeing a better shift here, maybe I'll look to enter, but I'm not too convinced that it's ready to sell from that zone. Next pair I'm looking at is gold, gold. Gold, I have a couple of different scenarios on gold, and they all play out. So gold is actually sitting right below its supply zone that we have talked about. Gold played around in this whole zone last week. I actually attempted to take it buy around here, and it pushed me out. And it actually went up to the zone I was looking to take it to, but it took me out. It was just not ready. That was probably me getting trapped into the market, thinking it's ready to buy, whatever it can be. I should have left it alone, but I saw something and I got caught in the mix. So right now, y'all can see this quote unquote head and shoulders look, man. I don't really trade patterns, but um, sometimes they work out. Just got to see, it just got to make sense. So what I'm seeing is this fresh supply that was put here. I would like to see this last low that was put in taken out, possibly even this low here taken out, and for price to trade back up into this supply. Maybe it trades up to this supply, come down, break, maybe form a new supply level and it take price lower. Now, if price does not do that and it decides to break through the supply, I'm looking for it to come up into the initial level that I've been looking at, which is these levels of supply and indecision going on up here around that 1800 level. That would be a nice level that I would look to enter from. If price comes up into here and shows me that it wants to do what it wants to do, I'll take the trade from that level. And then also the reason why I'm looking at that is because there is also some, double tops, which as you call it, basically liquidity sitting above here. And the liquidity sitting above an indecision plus supply zone tell me that price may go ahead and take out all these early sellers out of the market and go in for the kill on their accounts. Um, but again, the other scenario is to come up to this level supply of that 1785 level, show a shift and go lower, or 1800 flat, show a shift and go lower. I may actually enter aggressively if it hits 1800 because I like that zone. That zone seems like a whole number that price likes to trade off of. And my first target is that 117, 1725 level, because that was that last push that kind of took out all this liquidity that was resting right here, all this quote unquote trend line liquidity that was resting here. This push here took it out. So I expect price to at least react here. But my ultimate target is that 1680 level where price came from. With that being said, my next pair I am focused on will be, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to just trend all the JPY pairs. They're all the same. They're all the same. All JPYs are the same. I'm looking for price to trade up into these nice levels. EJ, I'm looking at the 139 level for entries. This one's a little not iffy, but the stops will be very big on this trade. It's like 20 pip stop if you just take entry from this zone. I mean, this depends on your account. I mean, it's not necessarily wrong or bad to do that, but if your account cannot handle that big stop, it's like 20 odd pays, I believe, or no, actually like 40. That is fairly big for a stop loss. Personally, I would not take a trade with that big of a stop unless your account can actually handle that. And being the reward on this trade is pretty good. It's over 550 pips if you do take it that way. So it's still RR wise, it's not bad, but 40 pips is pretty big for a stop loss. So I would probably wait for a price to shift in structure when it gets there. Maybe if we can zoom in, maybe you'll see like a better level to enter. I couldn't really see a better level to enter from here. I just know that this is a fair value gap right below that price hasn't traded into yet. You see the wicks haven't touched here, and it's also no wicks have touched here. So this is the area I'm targeting. I mean, if you really wanted to, you can probably put your stops right above this last high candle. If you want to take the entry from here, that is not totally against the thought process. No, let me go ahead and see how that stop looks. If people take, because I am looking to enter off this zone. I mean, I'm not against entering off that zone because it looks really, really good to me. So let's just say I decided to enter the trade off of this zone. I'm actually showing y'all the way I look at charts right during the call, which is fine. It reduced my stop almost by half. So that right there is a lot better R. You ask me, I would take something like that, a 20 pip, 22 pip stop loss. But again, if you want to feel more confident, more trustworthy in the trade setup, wait for the shift and enter. I mean, if you believe your account can handle such a thing, then do that. But don't do it on my watch, basically. I'm not gonna sit here and trade something that might be outside your account range. Next pair will be AJ. Again, they're all very similar setups. I mean, AJ came into this zone and reacted, but I don't think it actually touched the premier level of the zone. So I'm actually waiting for it to come deeper into this level at the 64, I mean, the 94 flat level. And if not 94 flat, 95 flat is the next zone. So if I can get it, if it breaks above the 94 and get me pullback, maybe I'll look for like a lower time frame entry to take price up there because that is still like a 100 pip move to the upside, which is not against me to not take it. I'll take it. 90 to 100 pip move to the upside. But again, I'm actually only I'm looking for buys mostly. I don't really concern myself too much with sales. I mean, excuse me, I'm looking for sales, not concerned myself with too many buy opportunities on this trade. So my first zone I'm looking at is the 94 level to see if it holds. Take the trade from there. I might even enter aggressively because stop loss on this one is actually a little bit better than it is on EJ. So quick look at that. The stop loss on this one would be about 16 pips. To me, that's not a bad look. I'll take it for 300 pip move. I'll take it all day long. And if that zone does not hold, I'll look to take it at the 95 level. Again, you want confirmation, go to a low time frame, wait for the shift and enter. It's all on your trading style and how you like to trade and your risk to reward, basically. The next pair would be NJ. NJ, very similar situation, nothing different, very similar. I'm looking at the 85 level as my first target with a 10 pip stop loss. This one is probably by far the best one to probably take more of a risk entry on because it's only 10 pips. I mean, if you can't risk 10 pips, then you shouldn't be trading. But this is right at the good premium level, fresh supply that broke the structure here. So this is a really good spot to take a trade from. I mean, I don't see it driving deeper into the zone. It's possible, but I don't see it. But if it does drive deeper, wait for the shift, then enter. Um, you could take the aggressive and take out the 85 level, and then looking to take it down to the 82, 200 level, which is about 250, 300 pip move to the downside. And I'm even looking for prices that I can take out this low. But again, I find targets for price to go into first before I look for some crazy levels for price to trade into. So should have initial targets and then have runners going, or make sure you do partials along the way. And that's what I got on NJ. And I'll do one last pair for just this Zoom call purposes. I think we're done with all the JPYs. I've done enough of those. I just showed you every single one of them except for one. Um, let's go look at what's this one? No, we're not looking at that one. Okay, let's look at EJ. EJ, but EG. Um, EG is a little bit weird. I was looking for entries on EG last week around here, but clearly blew right through my supply. I mean, smart money was not winning at all last week. This was clearly a break of structure. You know, it finally broke below here. You even had a candlestick close. You saw corrections upside. What made me think the trade was ready to go to the downside because it was just correcting its way up into the supply zone. So I don't think I was wrong, but what happened during some news cycle, it purged clean through that zone. Didn't even give me okay. It just if I was in this trade, which again I didn't take it when news came out, I kind of canceled on all my trades. But when it came to this level, it decided to it decided to go into the supply zone and just purge right through it. So the next level I'm actually looking at is still way up here. This 4 hour supply, I believe it is. Yes, this is a 4 hour supply with fair value gap below it. So I'm thinking price will trade up into here. Maybe give me a clear entry to take it because I will take this trade if it gives me that look that I like. Again, it's always going to be, go with your analysis. If it's wrong, it's wrong. You can't automatically assume you're going to win every trade. I never expect to win every trade. So, I mean, this was clear to me, a break, a correction, but just didn't work out. It is what it is. But now I'm seeing that price can possibly trade up into this fair value gap and supply zone that broke this structure after this failed demand happened, breaking several levels of structure, this failed demand, and leaving this fair value gap behind still with liquidity. So there's several reasons for price to come low. So I'm actually building that story that I like to see take the price lower. So right now I'm looking at somewhere around price 88, excuse me, 84, 800 area is the zone I'm looking at as far as entries go on this one. And it's actually a low risk trade because EJ doesn't really move that far as pips go. No, it's very forgiving on the amount of pips you can win or lose on it. But again, wait for confirmation you will like. But if it comes into this zone, I'm probably going to be looking into the trade as it approaches that zone or as it gets into that zone. And with that being said, I am done with this week's analysis. Y'all trade with care. All the pairs will be posted in the Discord. So take a look at them and we can discuss anything you may have questions about. Y'all have a wonderful day. Good night.